Hello, everyone, and welcome to Thursday Live. I'm Kristen. Is it Thursday or Monday? Welcome to Monday Live. And Valentina is just taking a tumble. Are you okay? I'm live. Yes, and everything is happening all at the same time. Welcome. It's Monday. It's not Thursday. People are flying. Things are flying. I hope you're having a wonderful Monday. We're starting ours off with a good chunk of laugh. Anyway, today we're going to be talking about if you feel heard and understood from those around you. Hi, Mickey. Thank you for joining us. You just missed the funny part. Anyway, do you feel heard and understood by the people around you, in particular your partners, your family, friends, and maybe some of your colleagues at work? And if not, why? Do you get frustrated by it? Do you feel like there's nothing you can do to really have people know who you really are? And what causes that, and what's that all about? So today, as we talk about that, I'd like us to look at why you're not understood. You know, where does that come from? And then a couple of things that you can do to be understood. As everybody was talking about this on Facebook, it was interesting because it really is a situation where people hold back their own self in hopes that somebody else will give them the safety or the trust to open themselves up. And that is exactly how we were taught. So one of the reasons why most of us feel unheard or misunderstood is because we are taught to communicate by being told how we feel, how we think, and who we are. And we aren't ever taught how to express the experience that's happening within us. And so we listen to others tell us about us, and then we tell others about them. And so in most communication, that's what's happening back and forth. You know, they're telling me about me, I'm telling them about them, and if they really are making assumptions about me, they don't know me at all. So by them telling me about me, they're not learning anything, and I'm not teaching anything. And by me telling them about them, that's not happening either. So how does that happen? You know, if we live off of expectations and assumptions, that style of communication will continue to lead the way and leave us all unheard and unknown. We are all in a constant state of change. So most of us don't even know ourselves. So how do we think we know someone else? We may not. In fact, we probably do not. And even what we do know about that person, if they're in a constant state of change, then how do we stay on top of how they're changing if we're not exploring them and asking them questions and letting them teach us about them? And of course, the same would be true for you. So the secret to communication is just this. It's being heard. It's being understood. And most everyone with whom I've spoken and interacted with, they all want to be understood or heard. And yet, none of them feel as if it's happening because we don't know how to share of ourselves. So a lot of you hear me say, speak your truth, speak your truth, speak your truth. Well, what does that mean? Well, it doesn't mean just speak your mind. It doesn't mean feeling free to tell the other person what they're doing right and wrong. Speaking your truth is telling others what is happening inside you. How do you feel? How do you think? What are you experiencing at this moment? If you can really know yourself well enough to get that crisp and clear. And so as you know what's going on inside, you share that and you teach the people around you what is happening inside you. Now all of a sudden, if you're simply teaching about yourself, that other person gets the opportunity to learn about you. So now they know one more thing or more about you. So now they've learned something about you and you're known a little bit better. And how do they understand? Well, they'll understand if you leave yourself open to be explored. So if a person wants to know more and they ask, can you tell me more? Then of course we can open ourselves and share a little bit more about who we are. In our partnerships, this becomes imperative if we want our partnerships to grow. But certainly in every single interaction in life, whether it's at work or in our personal lives, our goal is to be understood. If we're talking to a colleague or a boss at work, we don't want to sound like a blubbering idiot. We want to know what we need to know, show what we already do know, and we want them to know our dedication and the truth about who we are in the workplace. We don't want it to come from another angle. And the only way that is going to happen is if we are clear on the experience we're having and the experience we wish to have, and we're willing to share that openly. So going back, why does it happen? Because too many people are telling the other person about them rather than teaching about themselves, including you. And because that's the only way we know to communicate, no one stops to learn that we're communicating opposite of what we really wish to experience. So why? We learn to operate by meeting the expectations of others, to feel good enough if they give us the approvals. We learn to communicate based upon external factors, and we don't learn to communicate based upon internal factors so that we are teaching everyone around us who we are. So how do we make that change? We start to know what's going on inside, we know the experience we're having and that we wish to have, and we learn how to communicate in such a way that we are always teaching others about ourselves. Now, sometimes people say to me, well, I can tell them that this is how I feel, but they just won't listen. Well, we aren't worried about them, right? Because the more we worry about them, the more we are not thinking about what's going on inside that we would like them to know about. So we're speaking on our own behalf. So it matters not what happens in them, whatever them may be. It matters what's happening inside you, and that it is spoken clearly as you can, and effectively as you can. So the greater you understand what's happening inside and are willing to just speak it, the more that truth is heard. So a silly little example that I can give you is if I am sitting and I'm sitting and I've got this like look on my face that is like, miserable, and my friend looks at me and says, what's wrong? Did I do something? And I say, oh, gosh, no, not at all. I'm in deep thought about, how I'm going to handle this situation at work. And she says, I was really, worried about if I had done something to upset you. Well, she asks and I teach. So she explores me and the face she sees on me, and I respond by teaching her the truth of what's happening inside me. And now we have opened our communication so that we both feel understood and heard. I learn that she's starting to take personally the look on my face, and she learns that the look on my face has nothing at all to do with anything except a lot that is going on within me and my thought process. That's not the way it normally goes. Normally, my friend would say, what did I do? Why are you upset with me? And I'm like, I'm not upset with you. What makes you think I'm upset? Well, you've got this look on your, but no, it doesn't have anything to do with you. Well, now I don't know what was going on inside me because I'm too much defending myself to tell her that, like, no. And she's too busy trying to figure out yes, and nothing progresses forward. And we may walk away going, oh, well, this is just a misunderstanding. But what did we learn about one another? I may have gotten frustrated because they took something personally that didn't have anything to do with them, and I feel misunderstood because, I don't even know what just happened here. And she may feel misunderstood because she said that she knows that something was wrong with me, and now she still doesn't know what it is, and she can't make sense of it. And we both go away not feeling closure to the miscommunication. So it is as simple as knowing what's going on inside yourself, and if you think someone else is involved in it, feeling the strength and the courage to ask. If it's not something you're taking personally, but it's something that you're experiencing, have the courage to say that as well. Because the more we're willing to teach about ourselves, and the more we believe in our own self, so that we want to speak on our own behalf, the more we will be understood. One little example more. If you had a child that was 4 years old, and that little boy or girl came running in the house just crying because little Johnny outside hurt them. As a parent, I can do one of two things. I can leap right over the top of my child and go running out the door and give Johnny the dickens and then go tell the mother that leaving my little child at home still crying because he or she has no idea what crazy mom is doing right now. Or I can sit down with my child and have them teach me everything that happened for them, teach them what's going on inside them, and then I can say to my child, let me talk to little Johnny's mom or dad, and I leave after I take care of my child, because the very first person you'd want to take care of is this little tiny kid, 4 years old. After that person is taken care of, then I go and I have a voice on behalf of my child. And I go over to little Johnny's parent and I say to Johnny's parent, we had an altercation, this is the way Johnny handled it, and this is the way my child perceived it. And, that parent may engage me in conversation and say, I will absolutely work with Johnny and help him understand where things are going. That parent may say, well, maybe your child shouldn't blah, blah, blah. That parent say, it's none of my business, that's up to the kids. Or they may not even answer the door because they don't want anything to do with me. Do I care about any of that? No, I care about my child. So whatever happens out there isn't what's important. It's that I and my child knew that I took care of my child and then left to go have a voice on behalf of my child. Because that's all that matters to the child. The outcome on the other end isn't the most important piece. It can be a benefit, but it's not the most important piece. And so if we think of ourselves as that child and what we would do for that child, we would do for ourselves, we always want to have a voice on behalf of ourselves. So as you go forward, I want you to think about, are you teaching people who you are? Have you taken a few minutes to really know what's going on inside you so that the person across from you understands what's going on? And if you are in any way not sure what's happening with the person across from you, have you asked? Have you said, what are you thinking, feeling, or experiencing right now? Because this is how it's appearing to me. So learn who you are. Open yourself up. Learn to speak your truth. And with that, I wish each of you a day filled with teaching everyone about you and learning more about each person whose path you cross. So I thank you for joining me today, and I hope I was helpful in answering the question. If you feel heard or misunderstood, and some of the things that you can do to turn that around. On Thursday, we are going to be talking about being hurt by someone, by their assumptions of you. So if you've ever felt hurt because someone is holding an assumption of you that isn't true, I want to hear from you. Go onto Facebook. Tell me what that was like. Talk a little bit about that. Let's get the interaction going on Facebook, and then I will do my best to include all of your thoughts and experiences on my live Thursday at 1:30. And don't miss my podcast on YouTube. It's on Kristen Boma's YouTube, and feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel because we're looking really forward to hitting that 100 mark on YouTube. Thank you very much for joining me. I wish you a wonderful day, and may you all speak your truth.